Blog Talk Radio.
What will it take for you to start opening your eyes, start questioning the bullshit everyone around you buys? You think it's any of your business what goes on between my thighs? I wonder when we'll be rid of your
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Pink Atheist. I'm your host, Rachel Johnson, and with me today are my co-hosts, Jimmy Williamson and Phil Ferguson.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the show.
Hello. How you guys doing today?
Before we get started, we do have planned a little bit of a roast for Jimmy. His birthday is on Halloween, and it is going to get a little bit explicit. So those of you who don't enjoy crude humor, cussing, things like that, please be warned that ahead in the show we are going to do that. And I'm not sure about the full nature of what is going to be said. So as far as that goes, this is your warning that if you don't like what you're hearing, you should probably stop listening at some point because that is going to happen. So
is that just general advice for our listeners, though?
I think for today the message is there will be a few fucks get thrown around and a couple of asses and dicks, and yeah, Blair's coming on and he's been told he can pretty much let it go. So yeah, you can expect that.
Well, there goes our family rating.
There goes the family rating.
It's not going to be family friendly at this point. Once we get into that, I can't imagine it being family friendly.
Maybe we can piss off someone important like the Family Research Council.
I always hope.
That could be the best thing for our podcast is to get some Christians to tell people to boycott us.
Oh,
that's right.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll write a letter.
True. I'm sure that if they even heard a few words that Blair has to say, that it wouldn't take long for that to happen.
And we also have before we get to Blair and really just ruin everything, we're going to have soon, DJ Grothy is going to be our guest this afternoon. He is the president of the James Randi Educational Foundation, and we're going to get to him in just a few minutes. But before we do that, we, of course, have Ed and his fantastic curiosity updates. What's going on, Ed? Are you with us, Ed?
Oh, hey. Right here. Thanks for having me on.
You bet. That delay to Mars and back is kind of long, so sorry about that.
Oh, and by the way, happy birthday. I didn't, Jimmy, I didn't know that.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
So, Ed, where is Curiosity now?
Well, it's still in the same position, but before I get into that, let me do some weather here. This data here is from, I'm sorry?
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. This data here is from October 26th, and for those of you that are on Martian time, that's Sol 79. We have a high temperature that time period of 28 degrees Fahrenheit, and with a low of minus 99 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's we still got that big swing in temperature there. And it gets really cold. Atmospheric pressure is up at 7.96 millibars. Now, that's been steadily rising for the past few weeks. That could have something to do with Mars going into its springtime. We'll see if that pressure continues to rise over the weeks. The winds are still steady out of the east at about 4.5 miles per hour there. And that'll be it as far as the weather goes. Now, Curiosity's been doing these scooping activities. Up to this point, it's taken up to 4 scoops. One has been delivered to a chemistry and mineralogy instrument. This is inside the rover. This isn't on the end of the turret there. And they're going to put that in there, and it's going to be analyzed. While that's going on, other activities include the use of the ChemCam and that's doing other soil analysis. CAM itself is really two different instruments. It's got a camera mounted on it, telephoto, and then it has that famous laser everybody's been talking about. And it's been examining a formation that they're calling Zephyr, and there's a particular rock formation within that they had to get up close on. It was only about an inch long. Composed of two different materials, though. They could tell that by looked like a really hard surface, and then underneath you could see little arches that had been eroded away over time. Again, it looks like water did that. So they were just calling that particular structure there Stonehenge because of the little arches you can see through there. They're going to prepare for another scoop. It's going to be the fifth scoop, and that is going to be in another instrument that is located inside Curiosity, and that one there is nicknamed SAM. It's for this sample and analysis on Mars instrument, and that's going to do more of a chemical analysis of the soil. They're going to be doing that for a while. Oh, and what you mentioned, on this Tuesday, on NASA.gov, they're going to be giving a live briefing for Curiosity. So for those of you interested, you can get out to NASA.gov and click on the missions. You'll see MSO Curiosity there in the drop-down box. Click on that, and it'll take you right to it. That's it for me this week. Phil, Jimmy, Rachel,
thanks.
Back to you guys.
Hey, thanks, Ed. Every week, Ed talks about Mars, and I was worried that some of the other planets might feel a little left out. So I did a little research on Venus, and I figured I'd give you a weather report for Venus today, just for fun. It's going to have some severe storms with some sulfuric acid rain. The pressure is 92 times the pressure at the Earth's sea level, so it's quite crushing. All carbon dioxide atmosphere, except for apparently the sulfuric rain that comes out of it. And it's on the sunny side going to be a high of about 460 degrees centigrade, but on the dark side, it's going to be about 460 degrees centigrade. So really nowhere to hide on Venus, and it's not a good place to go visit. So Mars sounds much better, Ed.
Yes, there's something to contrast between those two planets.
It's almost like the atmospheric density and the proximity to the sun have a material effect on the temperature.
It seems that way, doesn't it?
What's that?
They're thinking that's a runaway greenhouse effect over there on Venus. They theorized about maybe 2 billion years ago it was more like us.
I can see how it could be nicer, but right now it's not so good.
Yeah, it's very interesting what's going on out there. Russians got some cojones going on, and they dropped a satellite in there. It landed. It lasted for about 45 minutes. They brought back some pretty good pictures. How they pulled that off, I don't know.
That was back in the 70s. We still haven't managed to do it yet. It's amazing.
Yeah, they're underfunding NASA a bit here now, and you can't get those cool missions from here anymore. ESA got some nice looking stuff in the pipeline though, but I'm hoping we'll be able to generate something right here.
Well, that is fantastic. Well, thanks, Ed. I appreciate it very much.
Hey, no problem.
Hey, Jimmy, we got DJ.
I can think about this stuff all day, so you tell me to hush up or something, because I'll just keep babbling on about stuff.
Okay, somebody turn their computer off.
Yeah. Did we find the DJ yet?
It depends. I do believe we have an unidentified caller. Let's see who it is. It may be DJ.
All right. Well, let's find out because he just emailed me.
Welcome to the Pink Atheist.
Hello, this is DJ. I called in the number. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing great.
Doing very well.
Great, DJ. This is Phil. I know you have a tight schedule today. You're busy prepping for $1 million channel challenge tomorrow. Is that right?
Right. We're doing a live $1 million challenge tomorrow for a documentary crew, a French documentary crew who's doing a whole hour and a half, I guess, primarily on Sylvia Browne, is also treating the U.S. skeptics movement and their attention, the attention skeptics have given Sylvia Browne. And as part of that, we're going to do a test of a psychic at our new offices here in Hollywood.
Wow.
And so that, that's always some work. You have to jump through some hoops, but it's a lot of fun. I don't know if you guys saw the hour-long episode of Primetime Nightline about 9 months or a year ago or something. We'll track some of that. So it will be sort of similar, but instead here in our offices rather than New York City and ABC studio offices.
Well, I know that you're busy and you got $1 million on the line tomorrow, so we appreciate you coming on and talking to us. And whenever you got to go, you just tell us and bail.
Sure. I think I got a good 20 minutes, maybe half an hour. You said you wanted to maybe chat about some of the fun stuff JREF's up to and psychics or some of the work we do about critical thinking. So whatever you want.
Well, one of the big topics, of course, is the $1 Million Challenge, and you've got that going tomorrow. Can you give us a minute or two of what the protocol is for that?
Well, historically, it's really been, frankly, sort of a moving target because we've tested any number of claims over the 16 years that the James Randi Educational Foundation has been in existence. And we've offered this $1 million prize to anyone who could prove under mutually agreed upon scientific conditions that their paranormal claim or ability is real. That means if someone comes with a dowsing claim, well, we ask them what specifically they're claiming they can do, and then we develop a test to both guard against false positives and also false negatives in examining that claim. So we don't want the bar to be so low that someone without the paranormal ability will pass. That's a no-brainer. But we also don't want the bar to be so high that, say, someone really does have a paranormal ability.
Right. And the person making the claim, the person making the claim actually agrees in advance that they can do the test.
Exactly. This is a mutually agreed upon set of protocols. Now, I said it was sort of a moving target. That is moving from claimant to claimant. But once the protocol is agreed upon with a specific claimant, then it's sort of set and it doesn't change. So just to clarify that point. But we might test a dowser or a psychic or a medium or a telekinetic or someone who says she can bend spoons with her mind. Maybe that Gellerism, Uri Geller did that in the 70s. We think it's a magic trick. A lot of magicians do it. In fact, Banachek, who runs our $1 Million Challenge, has it up for us. He's really a world authority, you could put it that way, in Gellerism, and he teaches other magicians around the world some really creative methods, frankly, that are smarter, that are better than the methods I think Uri Geller used. I think Uri Geller's doing a magic trick when he does that. He, for decades, said that he had supernatural abilities. He was dropped off on the planet by space aliens as the savior of mankind. He made all kinds of outlandish claims. It's interesting to know, though, I should say, that after years and years of critical attention from James Randi and other skeptics, Geller no longer makes those strong claims. He goes right up to the edge of admitting he's just an entertainer. He no longer says he's paranormal or supernatural. He now says he's a mystifier. And he has a reality TV show in Israel, and it's been shopped around all kinds of other countries around the world where they're trying to find the next Uri Geller. And it's basically a magician talent show. So that shows you the positive impact in a pop culture sort of way that skepticism can have, because fewer people than ever are looking to Uri Geller for spiritual advice. You might know that he was Michael Jackson's spiritual advisor. Imagine the sort of harm that can result when a magician is giving counseling advice or spiritual counseling or something like that. So we score that as a win for skepticism.
Yeah, that sounds almost as bad as a Catholic priest giving marital advice.
Well said, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to get too much into that. DJ, now, there's this $1 Million Challenge. Is there really $1 million? I mean, be honest with us here.
There is $1 million. In fact, if you go to randy.org, you can see a copy of our investment, our brokerage account statement. And so you'll see on a lot of paranormal websites and bulletin boards, psychics say, oh, don't apply for that $1 million challenge because it's not even real. Indeed, it is real, and we have evidence right on our website. People can download, look at the statement themselves. For this Nightline episode that we did months ago, we actually put the $1 million on the line right then and there. So if any of those psychics, or there was a palm reader, there was a medium, someone who says she can talk to dead people, if any of them won the test right there, they would have won the $1 million rather than having to go through what we've traditionally done over the last 16 years, which is first a preliminary test, and then only when you pass that do you get to go on to another test, you duplicate it, and then you get the $1 million. And that's because those tests we did on Nightline and the tests we'll be doing tomorrow, it's sort of a departure from the way that we've done it for 16 years, and here's how. We're now offering what I would call sort of off-the-shelf tests. So rather than sitting down with a claimant and developing a unique protocol that is just hers or just his to test that specific ability, we have 8 or 9 tests right now that have already been developed, and they're open to all comers. So we have a test for a medium. If you say you can talk to dead people, you should be able to pass our mediumship test. And so we present that to the claimant, and we don't have to go through this sometimes months-long process of developing a protocol. We already have it done, and we just say, take it or leave it. Do you want to test your ability using this test? Or we have a palmistry test, or we have an astrology test. So whatever, in quotes, psychic modality you're using, which I think that's just a sort of showbiz.
Sure. Now, of course, this is critical that you're doing this, and you're putting these people on the spot, and you're throwing out $1 million in their face, and no one's collected, and probably no one's going to, although it's possible. Just for a moment, I want to talk about something else that you're doing that's very different, and that's my favorite pet project, and yes, my company sponsored it to start off. It's JREF in the classroom. Can you tell us some more about that and how you're helping educate kids?
Right, that's near and dear to my heart. So you're right. The $1 million challenge is sort of a jewel in the crown, as it were, at the JREF. It's something we've been doing for many years, and it's one of the ways we educate the public about paranormal claims. But something that's very important to me is our new suite of resources for educators, for teachers, for free. They can get them on our website, randy.org, or we make them available in print versions and distribute them through local groups and science centers and tabling events, et cetera, or any teacher can contact us and we'll mail out a batch. These are kits for teachers attached to national science standards, national science content standards, and AAAS science standards, these sort of national standards for what a specific age group should be learning about science. Well, we use the investigation of the paranormal to teach those principles and methods of science. As an example, we have one of these classroom kits is simply titled, Is ESP Real? Right? Notice its title is not, there's no such thing as ESP, right? Instead, it's an open, inquiring question, and it comes with, a set of these Zener cards, these ESP cards, the 3 wavy lines and the star and the square, the cross, the circle. And it comes with a kit for the teacher to lead the students through a test of ESP for the whole classroom, sort of based on those old tests that J.D. Ryan did at Duke University, and also based on some of the stuff Randy has done decades ago, even before the foundation. He had a book out for Dover publications sort of testing ESP claims. And you walk the students through a number of scientific principles as they're testing each other in whether or not they have ESP. So there's a process of developing the test, which sort of illustrates important methods of science and statistical methods and how to guard against bias, tester bias. And there's ways to evaluate evidence and all of that. and we find that it's the opposite of dry science. Now, I'm of a stripe. I'm sort of a science booster, so I don't really find science dry. But some people do. Fine. We've created these resources where it uses the investigation of the paranormal in a very engaging way. It's very hands-on. So another one we have is on the Cottingley Fairies, which is this Arthur Conan Doyle, this hoax that a couple girls in late 19th century England concocted, that Arthur Conan Doyle, the author of Sherlock Holmes, got behind and he was bamboozled by. They basically just did some cut-out pictures of fairies, took photos of them, and it became a widespread belief in actual scientific evidence that fairies existed in the in the woods of the UK. Well, this is a way for teachers to explore the role of celebrity in inculcating beliefs. We sort of connect the dots from the Cottingley Fairies to vaccine denialism and Jenny McCarthy and that sort of stuff.
If I can summarize here, these are pre-made packets that a teacher can get and have fun, interactive activities for all of their students, and it's not just a dry, boring presentation. It's something that the kids get involved with and get to have fun with.
Right. I'm very excited about that, and we're very grateful for the support Phil gave to the project early on, and we have a number of others in development. One that I'm really excited about right now, and we just made it available a couple months ago, is one on dowsing. So kids get a kit where they create their own dowsing rod. They learn about the history of dowsing. Then they learn what we think's going on, but through experimentation, not hectoring, not lecturing, but they sort of learn in a hands-on way about the ideomotor effect, this physiological phenomenon that makes it seem like these dowsing rods are moving on their own, when in fact the person using the dowsing rods are moving them.
And they may not even know it.
Exactly. It's very subtle. It's very deceptive. I mean, it works on skeptics. You see skeptics' faces light up when they work with these dowsing rods. It's the same physiological mechanism that is at work when people are playing with pendulums and they seem to go in a circle or a square, circle or a cross, or the planchette on a Ouija board. But then it's not just about what some people would consider sort of trivial paranormal claims. We connect it to the real world. So right now, in the United States, Israel, the UK, Sri Lanka, Thailand, and Mexico, there are governments using glorified dowsing rods for very important reasons, and they have nothing to them. So there are lives at stake. And
I know that in Iraq, the Iraq military paid $50,000 to $60,000 per unit for a plastic box with a little metal wire sticking out of it, and that's all there was to it. About $1.50 in manufacturing.
It was just a dowsing rod that was supposedly charged up by a soldier shuffling his feet on the ground, and they could, in quotes, be calibrated to detect anything you want, including bombs at bomb checkpoints. If you use a dowsing rod at a bomb checkpoint, people will die. They're used at drug checkpoints in Mexico, and so there are civil liberties implications there. Governments have bought them for search and rescue operations. So at an earthquake,
so people's lives are really at stake.
And thankfully, the original scam artist who made millions and millions selling these to government, is now in prison for the fraud. He's a UK citizen. But just leaving aside the government waste of taxpayer dollars, just think of the real cost in human lives when you use pseudoscience instead of science.
Now DJ, how do people get these kits? What do they do? They got to send you some money or something?
These are available free for the asking. We make this available free in the public's interest as part of our educational mission to educate the public about pseudoscience and the paranormal and the harmful results that belief in this stuff often brings. You get them for free by going to Randi.org. That's Randi with an I, RANDI.org.
And there's a link on there somewhere?
Yeah, there's a link under educational programs at the top level navigation at the top of the screen. You can download them for free. on the site, or you can email the link on that page, and we can send some out to you physically. We like for teachers to get these primarily.
Yeah,
but
I was going to say, so if someone is a teacher or someone listening to this podcast knows a teacher or is in a classroom or is a student at a high school, let your teacher know. Go to randy.org and look under education, and it's just a PDF. You download this, and it's a great classroom activity, and everyone has a good time, and everyone learns how to think more critically, which is desperately needed in our society today.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I do have a question, DJ. How many people have made it to the secondary stage where they can go for the challenge? Has there been a lot, or?
In the history of the $1 Million Challenge, 0 people have made it to the secondary stage because, let me explain some of that process. It's the same test twice when it's an individual, uniquely developed protocol. So a psychic who says she can, move, stop a watch or move an object with her mind or whatever, she does it once. We develop the protocol. If she passes, then she moves on to the $1 Million Challenge phase. And in 16 years, all of the applicants that we've had, no one has proven their ability such that they passed that preliminary stage. On occasion, as I was mentioning earlier, we've just waived the preliminary phase, however. So for this Nightline shoot and other things in the works, we basically just waived the preliminary phase and put the $1 million on the table from the get-go. And part of that is because it helps raise awareness a bit better. People are, wow, the million's really on the line, and some of those tests for the Nightline thing, frankly, the skeptics in the back of the room, we were biting our nails because there was the psychic medium doing her test, trying to talk to Elvis, and there's a sort of scientific way where we were assessing whether or not she was really communicating. Elvis needed to tell her something, whatever, and she got like a couple things right. Now, she never got anything right more than chance, but she got a couple things right, and each time everyone was like, oh, my gosh, what's going on? But it was also high drama, good TV. The producers on Nightline were loving it because, in addition to doing their news program, they want to do good television, and by gosh, it was good television.
That is fantastic. DJ,
and I
know
think
one of
it
the
plays
things...
a big.
Go ahead, Rachel.
I think it plays a big role in the future of how critically our children are going to think, and I think that's amazing that you guys are out there doing that because obviously, looking at the politics of late, we need more critical thinkers in this world.
Right. Science education, critical thinking education, it's about the most important thing we can encourage among youngsters. And that's why, we do the JREF in the Classroom program, the $1 Million Challenge, of course, but we also make available a whole suite of other resources for the general public. We support these skeptical and science education podcasts. We've supported Skeptic's Guide to the Universe, my show, For Good Reason. We run one of the most popular nonprofit YouTube channels in the history of YouTube. They conferred a little award on us for being one of the most subscribed. That's at youtube.com/Randy Foundation, and there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of the leading minds in the world talking science and skepticism on that channel. And we invest a lot of resources to make that sort of stuff available. It's all in the interest of our public education mission. So I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah, wow, wonderful.
That is fantastic.
DJ, do you know how, this is Blair, by the way.
Hey, Blair, how are you?
I'm doing good, man. How are you doing? You still owe me an interview, by the way.
I think so, yeah. We will set that up, yeah.
Hey, what percentage of psychics, faith healers, etc., do you think honestly believe they are versus how many know they're charlatans and are fooling people?
That's a darn good question, and it's one of the things that interests me most. So if you ask me, of all the paranormal sort of things, what gets your goat most? I would answer it's the psychic stuff, right? Because I think it causes the most measurable harm, and it's not harmful only because people are knowingly pulling the wool over others' eyes. I think I'd even venture that a majority, even if it's a small majority, of psychic claimants. These are the people who are offering spiritual advisor services and using tarot decks and all that sort of stuff. I would venture to guess that, I've been to dozens and dozens of these, and I have a friend who's a professional psychic, if you could believe that. I think a small majority of these folks believe that their stuff is real. Now, let me unpack that a bit. So if I were going to give you a taxonomy of psychics, right, I put them into three categories. One is the kind I just mentioned, where they believe their stuff is real. Let's call those shut eyes. They're shutting their eyes to the truth that they don't actually have abilities. And that's easy to do, frankly, because our brains are wired to be powerfully self-deceptive. So when you're showing a little attention to people in a psychic reading, you're showing some unconditional positive regard, you're doing sort of, the counseling thing, you'll get a lot of validation. People will say, wow, that really helped me. Even if you actually don't have psychic abilities, just the act of talking to someone about his or her problems is sort of therapeutic. That's why friends, you go to a friend when you have a problem, and even if your friend just nods and smiles while you vent, you leave thinking, wow, that really helped. It was good to get that off my chest. So first category are these new agey type psychics who believe in their own abilities. Second category are the celebrity psychics. John Edward, James Von Krog, Sylvia Brown, this new one, the Long Island medium, Teresa Caputo. Now, my best guess is that celebrity psychics, when you hit a certain level of success, in order to be so consistently impressive, you have to be engaging in skullduggery. You have to knowingly be deceiving your audiences through the use of things like cold reading, which is a complex set of psychological methods to make it appear that you're saying specific things about an individual, when in fact you're saying general things about human nature, and then you drill down and get more specific based on the reactions of your sitters. So, and in fact, some celebrity psychics have actually been caught cheating, plants in the audience, getting questions before the show, hidden earpieces in their ear, that sort of stuff. So celebrity psychics, I think, almost universally fake. And then the third category are the storefront psychics, not the new age stuff, not the people at a psychic fair, not the people who, believe in chakras and all that, but I'm talking about the Romani culture of folks, the people with the neon signs in tourist areas. You go in, you give them $40, and they give you the same reading they give everybody else. And that's a numbers game. That's what, people used to call gypsies, right? The Romani culture, the gypsies, that's sort of out of favor as an epithet. You don't use the word gypsy, you say Romani, because it's an ethnicity. But they basically, that subculture, that ethnicity, there's a group of Romani who teach the women to be psychic basically as a career, and it's cultural, and they sort of justify it as you can't cheat an honest a man, and it's a sort of, some law enforcement folks imagine that it's akin to organized crime. So the Marks family, this Romani family of psychics that were stationed in New York and Florida just 6 months ago, with a whole clan were arrested for stealing upward of $60 million from their clients. And they do that through really well-organized and smart manipulations of hurting, grieving people. So those are not only fake, they're repulsive, but I don't think all psychics are fake. All psychics, let me rephrase that. I misspoke. I apologize. I don't think all psychics are fraud. I do think all psychics are fake. So the way I say it is they're not all fake. They're not all frauds, but they're all fake. You can be fake without knowing it, in other words.
DJ, this is Phil again. A few years ago, I started, without really any experience or knowledge, doing cold reading for people. Mm-hmm. And I was stunned at how many times the people thought I nailed it. Just making simple observations. I gave this young lady a cold reading, And we started talking about her friend, and she volunteered the name. I made some educated guesses that maybe her friend wasn't making as much as she'd want to, because most people feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
I made a guess that her friend's car was a crappy car just because she had a crappy car, and people often hang out with people in the same social economic status. And just made some educated guesses. And after about 10 minutes, this girl was shaking because of the incredible accuracy of my psychic ability. I spent the next hour trying to convince her I wasn't psychic. She would not believe it.
I love that you shared that anecdote, and this is sort of a cautionary tale for skeptics. I do not believe skeptics should be going around giving psychic readings as a way to say, ha-ha, psychic readings are fake. And that's because...
Yeah.
And that's because... Exactly. That's because you, through the course of a reading, you're dealing with the most central issues in a person's life. One of the ugliest things that I recently saw about Teresa Caputo, she was on Katie Couric's afternoon show. Katie Couric has a new afternoon show. And Caputo didn't do too hot on the show. Katie Couric was a great interviewer. She was a skeptic. I think she even mentioned the James Randi Educational Foundation and the $1 Million Challenge and all that stuff. We issued an open challenge to Caputo. But after the show in the green room, the producers of the Katie Couric episode did a video of the Long Island medium, Teresa Caputo, talking, and she turned her head and she looked at one of the producers and she said, "Oh, I see some male energy. Oh, is your father still with us?" And this producer came on camera and she was bawling because she was reliving the loss and because she believed in Teresa Caputo's psychic powers and actually believed that she was in contact with her dead father. That is ugly. It's the most reprehensible sort of manipulation that we see on a public scale today.
And those professionals, I agree with you that they're probably, well, they probably know that they're faking it. But the average just casual psychic person, I could see how they could trick themselves because I knew exactly what I was doing, but I was still flabbergasted with how it felt inside of me that maybe I was doing something. I knew I wasn't. I knew exactly what I was doing, but I could see if you didn't have any idea what cold reading was or, playing the odds and make educated guesses, you could easily convince yourself that there's something going on and you've got some kind of magic power.
Right. I couldn't agree more. That's how seductive the craft is, the trade, the psychic trade, because I think some people start out thinking they're fake, using some fake methods, get all kinds of positive feedback from people, and go one of two directions. In their head, they say, well, of course I'm fake, but I'm helping people, so there's nothing wrong with it. I'm helping people. I'm sort of the poor man's psychiatrist. Instead of paying a shrink $150 an hour, they're paying me $50 an hour, and I'm giving them a kind ear, and I'm offering some advice. Other people, though, others of these psychics, I think, get that validation and say, wow, I started out fake, but I actually am gifted. That person said that, I helped them a lot and knew things that, it wasn't in my cold reading handbook that I got. This is just amazing. And I think that's how self-deceptive this is. The real problem when it comes down to it, I'm going to say sort of heresy for the skeptic here, but I think it's less of an issue that psychics aren't real than it is that psychics give really freaking harmful advice, right? So even if psychics were real, they end up saying really bad advice when you're going through major issues in your life. So you're struggling financially and you don't know whether or not you should sell the house. Rather than going to a certified financial planner or something, you go to a psychic, you're going to get really bad advice. You have relationship problems, you think your husband's cheating on you. Rather than going to couples counseling, you go to a psychic with a deck of cards, you're going to get really bad advice. Your son, your daughter, you think there's a drug issue, whatever, you're not going to seek professional counseling. No, you go to someone who's talking Ouija boards and astrology. You're going to get bad advice, harmful advice. And what really gets my goat is how entrepreneurial some of these psychics are. They're not just talking to housewives for $50, but now there's all the rage in the corporate world is something called corporate psychics, where psychics are advising CEOs and boards of companies.
And they show up and they talk to an entire corporation board, and sometimes multi-million, even multi-billion-dollar corporations pay these people $20,000, $50,000, $100,000 to show up and tell the board how to run the company.
And that's corporate malfeasance. Those managers,
and if you own stock in that company, sell it.
Yeah, exactly. That is, shareholders should boot the management team for engaging psychics. You know, psychics don't have MBAs and aren't steeped in management theory. They're basically steeped in a sort of spiel to inspire belief and make a buck. That's why this stuff is dangerous. So when I talk to other skeptics about psychics, people, say, oh, take it down a notch. Why are you so riled up about the psychics? Well, it's not just because there's nothing to it, and I don't think psychics are real. It's because I think psychics are harmful.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, if we have time for one more topic, DJ, one of the things that drives me nuts, along with the psychics, is homeopathy and the idea that people can get medical treatment with something that can't possibly provide medical treatment. Any thoughts on homeopathy for us?
Yeah, it's something we've spent a lot of time on at the James Randi Educational Foundation. You guys have to, I'll send you a link. You could share it with your listeners on your website. James Randi famously did a overdose for his TED Talk with homeopathic sleeping pills. And so skeptics like to talk about homeopathy because it's sort of the perfect text case in the marriage of science education and consumer protection. Why do skeptics care about homeopathy? Because there's a company pulling the wool over consumers' eyes for a buck. You go into any CVS, any Walgreens, any Rite Aid right now, and you'll find a whole host of these homeopathic products that actually have nothing in them. The theory of homeopathy is that they don't need to have any active ingredients or any ingredients at all other than, sugar or filler, because the energy of the original ingredient is somehow imbued in those pills or that elixir, that liquid.
Because water has memory.
Exactly. Homeopathy is a, if I can say it, goofball, mumbo-jumbo theory that says that even if there's not one molecule of the original substance in the homeopathic remedy you're taking, it doesn't matter because less is more. And it's basically, it's the same, by analogy, it's the same notion as therapeutic touch, which is just waving your hands in the general vicinity of someone will clean up their aura, but you don't actually have to touch them. Nurses are practicing this. They could get certified in it. But it's actually no contact. Same with homeopathy. There's actually no contact of the original ingredient in what you're taking. And most consumers, when they buy a homeopathic remedy, it's right next to actual medicine in the pharmacy, and they read the back of it and it has these big words and often sort of the Latin names for those ingredients, and it seems like medicine, and the pharmacist sells it, and it's fake. If you have a cold and you do nothing, you'll get better in 3 or 4 days. You have a cold and you take homeopathic remedies, you'll be better in 3 or 4 days. You have a cold and you take NyQuil or something, you'll sleep, and it might help you with your headache, and you'll be better in 3 or 4 days. There is no cure for the common cold, but there's a lot of money spent on that sort of stuff, and
homeopathy is the cure for a heavy wallet.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, DJ, I know we could talk about this stuff all day. We've easily abused your 20 minutes. If you have just a second to go, tell us about the next amazing meeting, the TAM. When is that, and how do we get there?
That is July 11th through 14th, 2013. We think that this next year is going to be the biggest, best yet. Last year we had about 1,300 people, 1,250 people, a 4-day celebration of science and reason in Las Vegas. We really call it a vacation from unreason because it's not just a sort of academic conference. You go and take notes from bright minds and really the leading speakers on these issues, but it is a celebration. It's a vacation where people sort of come together. It's like a family reunion. This community of skeptics, very loving and caring group of folks, they get together and revel for 4 days. And we have really amazing people like Penn and Teller. Penn Jillette puts on his bacon and donuts and rock and roll party the Friday night at TAM. He did so the last couple of years. We have dynamite, knock your socks off entertainment, and 10 workshops for skeptical activists, and talks from 30 or 40 of the leading minds, big names. You know, we've had Dawkins and Bill Nye and Carol Tavris, who was one of my favorites from last year, the leading social scientist. And so we have a lot of fun, and it's basically a way for the skeptic community to do two things at once. One, to sort of regroup and network and work together to advance critical thinking when they get back home to their neck of the woods, but it's also a way to build community and sort of recharge your batteries. You know, people look forward to TAM like it's almost like a skeptic family reunion.
Yeah, we went through 17 bottles of Jack Daniel's honey at the last TAM.
Yeah, that was just Blair.
I do think there's some truth at TAM to that Latin dictum in vino veritas, right? The truth of wine, the truth of alcohol, the truth comes out of those revels.
Is it still going to be at South Point?
It's still going to be at South Point, July 11th through 14th, 2013. And we haven't announced the program yet. That'll be coming out, we think, in January. But we have some surprises in store. We're really excited about how this program's shaping together, and my tail's already wagging about it. It's the highlight of our year.
Well, that's wonderful.
Okay. So, well, guys, it's been a fun back and forth, and good luck with the show. You guys just started it, right?
Yeah. We have a couple months under our belt so far.
Well, congrats on the show, and thanks for the conversation, guys.
Thanks,
TJ.
Thank you
so
very
much
much
for coming on with us.
Okay, bye-bye. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Yay. Okay. He's a wonderful speaker. That was great. And I think it's great for people to get that information because there's too much woo in this world and not enough critical thinking.
Well, and it's curious that, and I didn't want to bring it up as a courtesy, but often the JREF gets into debates about why they don't take on religion more, and it's just not their thing. And there's groups like American Atheists. We had Dave Silverman on last week that take on that head on. So every group does their little specialty and focuses on their area, and the people who like that activity join and donate money. So there's plenty of room for variety.
Absolutely.
And it should be pointed out, too, that, JREF, if JREF is ever successful in increasing critical thinking, globally and changes the world, so to speak, groups like American Atheists, Freedom from Religion would become obsolete.
Amen.
I mean, that's the point. I mean, the point of any organization should be to its goal should be to make itself where it's no longer needed, to close its doors.
Yeah, and that's why I love that JREF in the classroom thing so much that I threw money at it because I think it's critical. And I kind of see atheism as the application of skepticism to religion. It's a subset of skepticism. I happen to think personally, unlike the official platform of the JREF, and that's cool, I get it, that religion is the pink elephant in the room. And you take that one down and you're going to solve a lot of problems real quick.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know, Blair, welcome to the show. I didn't get a chance to say that earlier. You know why I invited you on today. And so I do understand you have something else you wanted to talk about first. And then we can get to the part where Jimmy gets really uncomfortable. So...
What did I want to talk about?
Room, are they?
Huh?
What did I want to talk about first?
I'm not sure if you just want to go for roast
Any,
Jimmy. That's
any
fine
fucking
too.
thing. Just anything. Just talk about something. Fuck it. Shit.
The next Ram.
Well, since we talked about TAM, let me just throw out there that the American Atheist Convention is coming up in Austin, the March 29th through 31st over Easter weekend, which is perfect because what else are atheists going to do over Easter weekend? And it is our 50th anniversary. American Atheist is the oldest national atheist organization in the United States. 50 years we've been around. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be a huge blowout, lots of entertainers, lots of great speakers. I would encourage people to come out and participate. Tickets are on sale, hotel reservations. We got a great rate at the Hyatt in Austin, and we rented out the entire hotel. There will be no competing conventions, family reunions, or weddings. Every room is ours. So you're going to be in a hotel surrounded by atheists, and it's going to be awesome. So I would encourage everybody to take a look at that and make your reservations and start saving up your money now.
Yeah.
Except for the
Are there any hotel rooms left for listeners to get?
Are there any more what?
Are there any rooms left?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We had a couple days ago somebody reported to us that they couldn't get a room. We found out they were trying to get the buffer dates, so we had to call the hotel and arrange for more blocks of rooms around the buffer dates because people were wanting to come in early and enjoy Austin before the convention. So we made sure that Wednesday and Thursday are buffer dates now. So if people want to come in early and enjoy Austin for a couple of days before the convention, they can now. But yeah, there's plenty of rooms left.
And that's not like a Days Inn, right? That's a Hyatt.
Correct. It's a Hyatt at a Days Inn price. Well, it's a Hyatt at a Days Inn price for Austin. So.
Wow. Yeah, and hopefully we'll all get to attend. I know that I'm going to be going. So I already have my ticket because I'm excited about it. So, yeah, hopefully the Pink Atheist will be there.
Are you driving to that one too?
I'm not sure at this point.
That's a long drive.
Yeah, and I think that looking at the timeline, that it would be better to actually fly in. So.
Yeah, I drive from Huntsville. It's about 14 hours, give or take. It's not that bad.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
I think for me it's like 2 days. So.
Yeah, I don't mind. I don't fly anymore. I flew to Denver a couple months ago for the Atheist Alliance of America's convention out there, and on the way back, I was just so uncomfortable. My legs were hurting so bad. I thought for sure I was going to have an embolism at any moment, and I'm like, just screw this. I'm not flying anymore. I'm just not doing it. So anywhere I go, if I can't drive, I'm not going. I've made that decision. I will not fly anymore.
Well, didn't they stop letting you on the planes drunk?
No, I get on the plane and they make me drunk. They keep offering me.
Well, it's not just the renting 3 seats that kind of has a problem with it too, right?
I'm waiting to be the next.
You did come over here to roast me, motherfucker, so get ready.
Actually, Blair doesn't have any problem getting on the plane. It's the awkward stares when he blows up his girlfriend.
Blair, you can go for it anytime.
Trying to roast Jimmy is kind of unfair. It's kind of like bullying a preschooler.
Yeah. Well, since you're in second grade, it's not really that bad.
Well, happy birthday, first of all, I guess. Congratulations, you made it for one more turn around the sun. Woohoo.
Yeah.
We're all excited.
Is Jimmy still there? Jimmy,
with
are you there?
Yeah, I'm still here. I think you gotta say. Go ahead. If there's any more beer noises in the background, that's me. Don't worry about it. That's fucking the day's thing.
Yeah, being a Halloween baby, it's made him pure evil, but.
I think a psychologist would be interested in going to Jimmy's Facebook page and clicking on his likes and looking at the odd collection of likes he has on his page. I mean, it's just,
good.
Yeah, it's just really funny. I mean, it literally goes from like Alabama Atheist to girls, tits, and ass. And then it goes from like suicide girls to Hooters girls pimping you to the max. And then and then the James Randi, and right next to James Randi is Rapture Ready Home for Wayward Girls, you know, and embarrassing nightclub. Yeah, I mean, it's just such a weird collection of likes, all 238 of them or whatever it is. I mean, how do you get like those weird likes, Jimmy? What and what the hell is up with
we gotta find Jimmy a
girls?
job.
Max.
I actually did a couple photo shoots with some of the suicide girls, so that kind of goes there and starts the whole thing off with, yes, I've been into very hot, naked chicks my whole life. So there's your start. From there, the rest of them are atheists. I mean, that wasn't that good, Blair. Come on, you got better than that.
I think if you go to the Rapture Ready's Home for Wayward Girls, there's this one girl in the front who did not do a very good job of covering up her nipples. That photo is in violation of Facebook policy. I like the embarrassing night photos. I'm waiting for the ones from last night to show up of me. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, it will be.
I don't know how to roast you, Jimmy. You got nothing, brother.
Well,
you're overrated. You're way too overrated. The best thing, I mean, I'm looking at like, I don't know, dude. I mean, there's nothing about you to really roast. I mean, other than the way you look, and everybody knows that. That's just picking on a preschooler there. I mean, you like Entourage. That says something.
And Boys the Men.
And Boys the Men?
No, that was not on there.
That's what I heard.
I'm surprised you don't like Magic Mike.
Magic Mike. Justin Bieber.
Yeah, what? Entourage, really? Entourage?
Hey, I've been an Entourage fan for years, man. I love the show. The amount of naked ass on that show, chick-wise, I mean, you like the more of the ones that have guys on them. I understand that. But that one has, like, the naked chicks on it. I mean, you know, you watch what you want to watch. I'm not the one that has the job where I get to go in and get conjugal visits from my boyfriends.
I also love the fact that you have lots of likes for pages with naked women, and then right next to cigar photos. I think that's appropriate.
Sometimes a cigar is just a cigar.
Bill Clinton. That's all I got to say. Bill Clinton. I take a lot from him.
You weren't the first.
I'm looking forward to our next visit, Jimmy, when you can try that cigar on me.
Oh, shit.
Now, this time, don't light it first.
Don't light it first. Even if you light it, my humidifier that I have, put it out immediately.
Is that what they're calling it now?
Yeah, that's what I call it, my humidifier. Or my humidor, I should say. Oh, you can tell I don't smoke cigars. I'll use them as a tool, I suppose, but I don't smoke them.
Okay. And Rachel was worried that this would deteriorate.
No, look, I am so off my game today. It's pathetic. I got so fucking drunk last night. I know I had some fun last night, but I don't remember any of it. And I'm waiting for all the scary pictures because I remember flashes going off around me, so I know people were taking pictures.
The pictures are not going to be the problem. It's the video on YouTube, dude. That's killer.
Yeah, I know some video was taken too of me dancing and being stupid. It's Oh man, you guys ever had Fireball whiskey?
No, that butt pirate costume you were wearing looks pretty fucking cute there, by the way.
You know what's funny is I took forever to find that costume, and I was so glad to find it. I got to go as Captain Morgan. It was pretty cool. But I drank this Fireball whiskey stuff, and I drank an entire bottle of it by myself.
Oh, wow.
And,
you just spent all that time to find that costume and only wore it for 30 minutes. That's a shame.
I took it off pretty early. We did some improv for the partygoers, and I took it off during the improv and never put it back on. And then I passed out in the chair out at the fire. And that's the last thing I pretty much remember.
Wow.
I think that's
somebody put me in bed because I woke up in bed. And they were nice enough.
That's just something like a description of the party Lot had after he escaped Sodom and Gomorrah. He just passed out and didn't know what happened.
Well, luckily my daughters weren't here.
Yeah, that's good.
That could have been weird.
Yeah, when your daughters start bragging about you, that's awkward.
You know, what's funny is when we were at the Alabama convention, my daughter Rose was on the teen panel, and one of the questions came up. It was a brilliant question. It was, what do secular teens view about the idea of purity and virginity and saving yourself for marriage? Great question. And then a couple of the teenagers were like, I don't want to answer that, Rose gets up there, she's like, my dad and I have always had a great relationship. He's taught me about human sexuality and how to be safe and, all that kind of stuff. And he always told me that, whenever you become sexually active, come see me and make sure we get you on birth control and get you some condoms, and then she said, go get condoms and we'll do it. And I'm like,
yeah, that's great.
I'm like, I don't think they came out the way you meant it to. And of course, she had no idea, because she's so naive when it comes to innuendos like that. So she had no idea the insinuation that she made, and everybody in the audience is laughing. It was pretty funny.
That's amazing.
Oh.
So what else is going on in the world?
Well, let me see. I'm sure Jimmy's pretty drunk right now. So,
I'm working on it, yeah. I'm working on having the hangover that Blair has today.
Well,
are you going to wake up in some strange bed where you don't know where you are, too?
No, I know where I'm going to wake up.
I was just going to ask you if you were going to ask the guy beside you what his name was. That's all.
I think you should be more worried about waking up next to a Vaseline-coated cigar.
Oh.
Hey, that kind of segues into this other topic I had here. Someone on the internet made a chart of the 7 types of rape.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I saw you posted that. Go into it a little bit.
I like awkwardly quiet here, but they took actual quotes from different members of the Republican Party and categorized them into different types of rape, and they are as follows: gift from God rape. We have the legitimate rape. We have honest rape, emergency rape, easy rape, forcible rape, and the bonus category, as quoted by Republican gubernatorial candidate Clayton Williams in Texas, enjoyable rape, because he said, it is inevitable, just relax and enjoy it.
I can't, the emergency rape, I just picture this thing on the wall that says, in case of desire to rape, break glass.
Wow, that's craziness.
Yeah, the quotes are just off the fucking wall. I mean, how did people like this even get to fucking run, much less actually win elections? Just blows my mind.
That's easy, because they say they're good Christians, and everyone votes for them no matter what comes out of their mouth next.
Well, this is the stupid. what this boils down to, where the reason these quotes come out, is because they are pot committed to this ridiculous idea that abortion is evil and horrible. And so when you propose to them legitimate secular reasons to get an abortion, because they're so pot committed to their belief, they have to justify it and rationalize it. And what ensues is fucking asininity in these comments. It's nothing more than them trying to rationalize their belief in absolutely no abortion whatsoever. It's mind-boggling, the shit that comes out of their mouth to do that.
Well, I don't even know if it's really so much about not having abortions. And I had this argument online, unfortunately, because that kind of thing can happen. I don't think it's so much about preventing abortions as it is having kids. And the successful religions are the ones that promote the babies being made the most. Just look at Mormonism and Catholicism. They go around the world and they outbreed the competition. And in 5 or 10 years, it doesn't make much of a difference. But over a couple of 100 years, it makes a huge difference. And you get a religion like the Shakers, American Christianity version of a religion called the Shakers, where men and women lived in different sides of the building. They could only meet to have lunch and dinner together. They weren't allowed to have any sexual relations. The only way they could get new members was to invite them and talk them into it. Well, that shit doesn't work. Just look at Jehovah's Witness. The best way to grow your religion over time is fucking. And you don't want to do anything that stops the babies from coming out.
Well, that would explain Islam.
Well, it does. It explains Islam. It explains why the Catholic Church goes into a country like Africa where millions of people are dying from AIDS and tells them, don't use condoms. Condoms don't help against AIDS. They actually cause AIDS because they're okay if people die as long as the net increase in population and contributors to their kitty improves.
And that's actually one of my pet peeves, and I've written an article on that. I think it's absolutely deplorable and disgusting on the part of the Catholic Church to promote the death of people just so that they don't use protection. It's deplorable. It's horrible behavior.
And if you understand it from that perspective, that maximizing baby output is the primary goal, what they say after that, what they talk about after that, all makes perfect sense. They're not irrational. They're very rational. They're immoral. They're unethical. And maybe their presumption starting point is wrong. Not maybe. It is wrong. But the steps they take after that, the decisions they make, the announcements that they proclaim are perfectly rational in that framework that they live in. And the problem Catholicism has and other religions have in today's society is that in the past, when you were raised up in that little cult or that little culture, you understood only that system of belief, and it made perfect sense once you bought into it. But now it's so easy to get on the internet and find out something else and look back upon the religion that your parents are putting on you and say, this is fucked up. And that's why people are leaving record numbers, and it's just going to get worse. These religions should be freaking the fuck out right now, and I know that they are. I talked to a friend of mine, and I can't remember if I said this last week or not. He is a Presbyterian minister. And in the southern half of Illinois, one half of all their churches, they can't get a pastor in there. And the congregations are shrinking. The money is drying up. The only reason they're still able to get enough money to keep most of the buildings open is because their members are so old that they're dying and leaving estates behind. But You're getting some of these small towns have these churches that literally have 15, 20 people meeting once a week for an hour in a multi-million-dollar building. That cannot continue forever. Those buildings will close. Those buildings will be like a giant stone around that church's neck and drag them to the bottom of the lake where they will suffocate.
And that's probably a good thing because religion has had too much influence on too many societies. I can't reveal, of course, names, but I actually talked to a young girl in Africa who was in a situation where she's in college and her boyfriend was in college, and she wound up pregnant because they weren't using any protection. And obviously these are Christian people. And the girl talked with me because she was in a situation where she didn't want to have this baby, and she felt that it was the wrong time. And not that I would ever, coerce anybody or convince them. She obviously had already had the thought. And she's from Nigeria. And she wanted to know advice on having an abortion. And so I gave her the best advice that I could. And, of course, it was ultimately her choice. But she went ahead and did it. And I would have to say I'm kind of proud of her in the way that she took the step to understand that it wasn't the right time or situation. And in her country, had she have been found out, and I didn't know this till later, but had she have been found out, the sentence is death if you are caught having an abortion. So, it's sad that it had to happen, but, at least she had the sense and sensibility to understand the responsibility of the choice that she was making and approach it in a way that, was confirming what was the best for her situation in healthcare.
That's just amazing. And you put, I don't know, rational thought. I go to the Planned Parenthood in my town sometimes, and I mess with the protesters just because I'm a little bit of a tool. But you sit and talk to them and explain that Planned Parenthood is the single biggest reason for the dramatic reduction of abortions in many cities. And they can't see past the fact that 5 abortions were performed in that facility in the last month. They can't understand that hundreds upon hundreds of unwanted pregnancies were prevented by free condoms, subsidized birth control, all these different things that are helping people's lives, making them better. And they just look at this one little piece of information.
But condoms and birth control are forms of abortion, damn it.
Well, and it goes back to what I actually said earlier, that the religion wants them to have kids. That's not really concerned about them or their kids.
What drives me, I can't go. We have a women's clinic here in Huntsville, and a lot of the people from the local atheist group out and do the escort and counter protest. I can't do it. I know that if I get down there, I will get pissed off, I will get angry, and I will do something that will land me in jail. So I don't go to protect myself and to protect others. But hearing some of the...
Are you sure it's not the restraining orders from the girls there?
They got rid of you once.
They got rid of me once, damn it, yeah. I got, it just drives me bonkers. I was talking to my friend Chuck, and he had relaying to me the conversation he had with one of the women that was down there on the protest side. And he's like, the girl that just went in there that you guys are calling baby killer, she had a miscarriage, and she had to get a... what's it called? A DCR, I think is what it's called, or
a DNC.
The DNC. DNC, yeah. She had to get a DNC. And like, why are you? That's not her fault. It's just, she didn't come in and get an abortion. And the woman's like, well, she shouldn't get a DNC because a miracle could happen and God could bring that baby back to life. She should leave it in there.
Wow.
I'm just like, what? I'm like, how's this? What? How's that woman even allowed to be alive?
Well, they just had a case in Indiana here next to me where last year the state Senate, I guess, and was signed by Governor Mitch Daniels, who is a hardcore funding nut job, that they took away all this money from Planned Parenthood, and they've gone through the court, and they just went to the appellate court. The appellate court ruled that the state of Indiana could block Planned Parenthood from getting federal money, that was legal to do. And so the Planned Parenthood of Indiana is now losing $150,000 out of this year's budget.
And we talked about this before on the show. The percentage of money that goes to abortion is only 3% of their whole budget. 3%. It equates to barely nothing. The rest of it is paid by the women. It is on a sliding scale, but the basic idea is that the government is not paying for that. They're paying for breast exams. They're paying for other services. And I'm a full 100% supporter of Planned Parenthood and everything that they do. They do some amazing things there. And it's not just women that wind up at Planned Parenthood. You know, they have ST testing for males as well. So this whole idea that Planned Parenthood is this demon that wants women coming there for abortions is absolutely absurd. Planned Parenthood does great things with education and reaching out to the community and trying to prevent STDs and trying to prevent women getting breast cancer and not knowing it, or cervical cancer. And when you're talking about women's health, that's what Planned Parenthood is there for. And I find it really insane that in this day and age they're being attacked as aggressively as they are. And it's not just in one state. It's in almost every state that this is coming, up.
Yeah.
Ohio as well was facing...
The arguments and statements you're forward right now are great arguments and statements for rational, logically thinking human beings. But if you're coming from the mindset that abstinence-only education is the way to go, and you have an organization that's going out there and teaching about STDs and how to wear condoms and use certain medications to not spread those, well, that's just promoting whoring, and it's a ridiculous mindset that we're dealing with here, and it's an unreachable mindset. Logic and facts have no effect whatsoever on these morons at all.
And
I've tried to change these people's. There's just no point. I've given up on trying to change their minds, and I've realized that the best method is to just harass and mock and ridicule them to the best of my ability.
Right.
Absolutely.
We have a new case here in Illinois, in Springfield. The mayor put on the official city website an announcement of a prayer breakfast. Now, the mayor can have a prayer breakfast. The mayor can host a prayer breakfast as an individual person, but it is called the mayor's prayer breakfast. He's the official sponsor for the event, and they're promoting it and marketing it on the official city website. He is using city funds, taxpayer funds, to promote religion.
I think in the last couple of years we've seen a lot of encroachment upon the religious. There's been a religious agenda in a lot of politics, and I think that it's getting more and more prominent. And, this is just a hypothesis, but I think as atheists get more outspoken, we're causing fear and worry in the Christian sect of society, because they know that they're losing members. They know that people are becoming disinterested in religion and all of the things that it has to offer. Young people are leaving religion in amazing numbers.
I think you may have the order backwards. I think the fact that more people are leaving religion ends up resulting in atheists being louder because they're not paranoid that everyone around them is a Christian. And that same thing of people leaving religion is what is making these churches more desperate. The reason they have to have Fellowship of Christian Athletes, the reasons they are falling over themselves and trying to get every child they can into Bible school is because they know by the time they're out of high school, and if they, God forbid, go to one of those freaky liberal colleges, they're lost to them, and they can't ever get them back.
Absolutely.
Right. I mean, those of us that have been in activism for a while, and I've been doing it for 20 years now, we fully expected a backlash against the rise of secularism. And there's two reasons for it. One, as secularism increases, they become, like you mentioned, Rachel, they become obsessed with, oh my God, the humanists are taking over, the secular humanists are evil, the atheists are evil, and so they become more entrenched and start to fight back more aggressively. It's kind of like death throes, It's just this last ditch effort to make some kind of impact.
It's a cornered animal.
Yeah, essentially it is. But the second aspect is just kind of what Phil hinted at, and that's as people begin to leave religion, the people that are leaving religion are not the fundies. They're the moderates, they're the mainstreamers, and so when those people leave the church, who's left in the church? The crazy fundies.
The crazy.
And so, their voice becomes more vocal and they become a lot louder, but their numbers are still small.
The thing that's curious, though, is they're working themselves, at least in my fantasy mind, into a bind, because if they're not moderate, they're going to lose a generation. And the more they go out there, the more extreme they are, the more prayers they have for rain, the more hysterical it looks to the average 20-year-old.
Absolutely.
People who are 40 and 50, have kind of accepted it and just laugh it off or follow it. But 18-year-olds, 20-year-olds who've grown up on the internet, where you may be challenged at any time to defend what you say and find a citation, you get some nutter telling you if you go out and do a rain dance or do a certain kind of prayer and it's going to rain in Texas, they laugh at you.
Yeah. And, ironically, and I'm going to say this on air, and you guys can have a go with it, I used to be quite the fundamentalist. I was one of those people who was absolutely pro-life, and I was a fundamentalist to a T, and it took a lot of thinking and examining of what I really believed in order to let go of that. And I've only been an atheist for a few years, but it's astounding the things that I've learned since I let go of that dogmatic mindset. I'm a completely different person than I used to be. And I think that's because... Huh?
What group were you in?
I was just basically a very hardcore Christian. And,
non-denominational?
No, I was raised, my father was Baptist and my mother was Protestant, and I was raised in a mix of those, and, I went to a Protestant church, and so I was very hardcore for a few years, and not my shining moment when I look back, but I was, and I was one of those who you couldn't convince me that there was anything wrong with what I believed. And
right, and you're not any smarter now. You just have better information.
Actually, I am smarter because when I was very dogmatic, I wouldn't open my mind to science and the scientific evidence. And it took a friend of mine talking with me and listening to me and then saying, I think you should read Richard Dawkins. And, at that point in my life, I was like, okay. And when I opened Richard Dawkins' book, some of the thoughts that I had been having were written on those pages, and it absolutely changed me. And since that time, I have found everything scientific I can read and gone through it, and the change is quite dramatic. I actually wanted to be a nun when I was younger and, preach.
And now you are.
So.
It just spelled different.
Well.
Now you're kind of like a high priestess of atheism.
I wouldn't go that far, but...
Hey, you still got to get the nun outfit, though. The nun outfit is hot. I'm sorry.
I never understood the nuns, right, these ladies that are in these big stone monastery-type buildings, and they would talk about how you have to be fully clothed because you wouldn't want God to see your naked body. And even as a kid, I always think, wait a minute, so he's like in another plane or something, wherever he is, and he can see all the way down to earth, and he can see all the way through the stone building in case you happen to be naked, but he can't see through that cotton cloth that you're wearing.
As long as it's not mixed linen.
Yeah, and that really cracks me up. Because otherwise there was a chance he could see you if you had your shirt off.
That's his version of Superman's bed.
Yeah.
Those clothes must, have a little bit of lead in them or something that God can't obviously see through,
Talking about woo, that's something totally different. And it's something that it seems like only women seem to do, so forgive me. It's these parties where they buy things and sell things, like shoes, toys, kitchen supplies. A friend of ours had, and my wife went to, they were selling towels that had silver in them because silver kills bacteria.
Oh, my goodness.
And so you take this towel and you rub it across your counter, and it sterilizes your counter just by rubbing this towel that has a couple of silver threads in it.
Wow.
So instead of buying your standard $1 or $2 kitchen towel, you buy these things for $19.95 each, pack of 6 for $100 or something like that, and every surface you wipe instantly becomes sterilized. So they would do this example, and they would bring fresh in from the grocery store a piece of chicken, and they would slap it on the counter, and it would splatter a little bit, and they would use this little test kit from 3M, because they're really sciencey and everything, and show you that there's enzymes there. And then they would rub this towel over it and test, and the enzymes were all gone. And everyone knows bacteria needs enzymes to eat, to live. And if the enzymes are gone, the bacteria are gone, and therefore it's sterile.
Wow.
And not only is this all fallacious argumentation, but someone may now change their cooking habits and not clean their counter and actually make their entire family sick because they think this towel with a little couple threads of silver made the countertop sterile.
Well, you know, we got to control the population somehow.
Yeah.
That's another Darwin award waiting to happen.
Yeah.
Is everybody ready for the religious hysteria for Hurricane Sandy? Who do you think?
I've already seen some of it.
Did some women show their boobs again? Is that what happened? God got angry because there was some breasts hanging out somewhere. Is it Hooters?
Oh. How does Hooters stay in business then?
Yeah, I thought boobs caused earthquakes anyways.
Oh, my bad. Wrong thing.
Well, now, if there's an earthquake when the two storms combine, we'll never hear the end of it.
Yeah.
Oh,
sure.
no.
Although I also think boobs motorboating, but that's a different thing altogether.
What's that?
I mean, I figure, you know, at least half the crazies will say that it's a statement against the election, that somehow God is punishing the Northeast, the liberal Northeast, you know, for putting Obama in office. I expect that to come out.
It's
already,
of course,
you know,
that's already been all over that it's hitting up there because Obama's in office.
Of course, yeah, and you know he's for gay marriage, so of course, you know that's bringing the wrath of Almighty God.
Of course, that it's going to hit on Halloween. That must mean it's, you know, punishment for worshiping Satan's holiday.
Yeah, so we do our best.
No, that's my holiday. Fuck that. That's my holiday.
Listen to our little demon there.
Oh man!
I'm sure that they'll have fun with that. It's amazing that you know, meteorologists can predict the weather and tell you what's going to happen, but you know, it takes a while for God to make the plan. Yeah.
Well, it's like one of the things that I had said that, you know, they're so upset about people having birth control and abortion pills and stuff. Is God so feeble that a simple tablet can thwart his plans? You know, he wanted
Absolutely.
that girl to be pregnant through rape, and he wanted her to have a baby. Oh, shit. All-powerful deity didn't take into account 15 milligrams of some chemical, and now he's ruined.
Yeah, it's amazing how God doesn't work.
Yeah, and you know, if you think about it, for those of you who know Christianity, you know how Jesus was created, right? God basically came down and raped a girl because not with her consent. She didn't even know it happened. You know, she can't account for the fact that his dick was so small she didn't know it, but it's still rape. If only Mary had the Plan B pill, how much better our world would be.
Oh.
I mean, Jesus is like the most famous rape baby ever.
That's true. But you know what? You can't confirm that it was only Mary. God could be a complete whore. I mean, how in the world did we get Adam and Eve? What was he doing there?
Well, we know how we got Eve, but how did he make Adam?
Some goats aren't talking anymore.
That's why he was upset at Onan for spilling his seed on the ground, because God had already done that.
Yeah. Or he was jealous he didn't think of that idea. God got tired of having sex with goats, so he made Adam.
Yeah, there's nothing about virginity in that first book. Who knows what God was doing in that garden?
And it's funny that whole story cracks me up because it's the fundamental cornerstone of Christianity, and the whole Jesus story, if it ever had a chance of making any sense, is dependent on the Genesis story making sense, which obviously it doesn't. And people don't even understand why Adam and Eve were thrown out of the Garden of Eden. It's not because they ate of the tree of good and evil and knew that they were bad people and naked. They were thrown out because God was afraid they would eat from the other tree that was the tree of everlasting life. So when you go to the Creation Museum and they say, well, people used to live forever before the fall. No, they didn't. That's why there was a tree of everlasting life.
Yeah, because the Bible specifically tells that God threw them out for the fear that they would, eat of this other tree and then have immortality like God and the angels.
Which, first of all, means that God has fear from that little story, and that God lied because he said, when you eat from the tree of good and evil, for surely you shall die. So he's a liar. He's afraid. And when he comes back to the garden after Adam and Eve ate from the fruit, which it never says apple from my understanding, they ate from the fruit. Yeah. He's wandering around in the woods. Hey, where are you guys? Where are you guys? It's the only fucking place on the planet, and he can't find it.
Well, and to add to that story, how is God so absent he doesn't know what they're doing? I mean, did he take a holiday? I was just up there resting, guys. What were you doing?
I mean, well, yeah, that was the day of rest, remember?
Yeah, he's less competent than Mitt Romney sending jobs overseas. I had no idea.
What really kills me on the amount of apologetics that goes into Genesis, like people saying that the snake was Satan. It doesn't say that anywhere that the snake was Satan. That's just people making an assumption. Yeah. But like when you look at the story, like who was the most truthful and honest character in that entire story? It was the fucking snake.
Right.
The snake told the truth. So if the snake is Satan, I'm totally down with fucking Satan because he's truthful, he's honest. It's like this God guy, he's a son of a bitch.
Jimmy, do you always get quiet after having a six-pack of beer?
It's actually about 12 right now, and yes.
Like Jimmy's ready for a nap.
It was a bad PR for Lucifer. He should have made his name Lucifer.
No, actually, for anybody that actually knows Rachel really well, I have to admit that's me that's posting on her wall because I've been logged in as her. So yes, Rachel, that's what the fuck I've been doing.
Hey, Jimmy, good call on the disclaimer because everyone that's looking at Rachel's wall is listening to this crap right now.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Just so you know, payback's
That's why I've been so quiet, and I'm sorry, below.
Hey, Rachel, your wall says you just converted to Mormonism.
Oh my gosh!
And Catholicism and a few other things. Yeah.
What's a celestial marriage? Apparently, you're hitched.
Alabama might be 15 hours away, but it don't feel like it when you got to get there.
You better look out, Jimmy.
Hey, I've been quiet, but I've been busy.
I'm more worried about you put are on your wall.
I've been
He found one of those pages he liked earlier.
Oh, jeez.
Hey, if I can segue for just a minute to Arkansas. You had on Leewood Thomas a couple of weeks ago talking about Reason in the Rock convention.
Yeah.
And that was yesterday, and we're going to have, I hope, in just a few minutes, some of the organizers of that event from yesterday, and they're going to give us a little review. But I had to spend 2 years of penance, I guess, in Arkansas, and boy, they need that convention. It is
Wow.
an amazing place. It's kind of like Alabama in a way.
Nothing's
also
like
the
Alabama.
Well, it's the home of the Duggars, the people that have like 45 kids now.
Uh-huh.
They just lived a few miles down the road from where I was working. And you can tell me if it's like this in Alabama, but you'd walk up to somebody and they say, "Hi, my name's Bob. What's your name?" And you go, "Phil." And you go, "Hey, Phil, what church do you go to?" And I was like, "Really?
Wow.
That's the second thing you asked me? I guess I should be happy you asked what my name was." But I also had people that would literally say things like, "How come if people evolved from monkeys, how come they're still monkeys?"
Yeah, I always love that question.
And you just, how do you start the conversation with that? And they had this brand new church that was built, I think it was in Rogers, Arkansas, millions of dollars. And they put up these 3 giant crosses because when Jesus was put up on a cross, there was 3 of them because there was a criminal on each side of him, even though 2,000 years ago they didn't actually put people on crosses. But anyway, they made these 3 giant white crosses that are about 150 feet high because they're twice the height of the trees around them.
Oh, my goodness.
And they put them on this little island and built a freaking lake around it and then surrounded the lake with these spotlights. So these things were lit up.
Wow.
Like the sun all night long. And it was so gaudy and so over the top that even local fundamentalist Christians would sometimes say things like, some of that money could have gone to feed the poor.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's ridiculous. And you think about the expenditure of religion in ludicrous things like that. It's just absurd. Just such vanity and such audacity in the face of those who are suffering.
That's amazing. Hey, Ginia, I got a message here that our callers from Little Rock may be on the phone.
Actually, they're on and they're live right now. I think that's them, the noisy ones in the background. Hello?
Hello.
Hi, guys.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
Welcome to the Pink Atheist.
Hi, thanks. This is Ann Orsi.
I'm Susan
Hi, Ann.
Hampington.
Hi, Ann and Susan. What's going on?
Well, we are calling to talk about Reason in the Rock.
How'd it go?
Yeah.
It was wonderful. It was a fantastic day. We had a full day of speakers, and we had a full crowd, and we were so excited. Little Rock's first secular conference, I think we can say very safely that it was a complete success.
Now, I understand there was some problem that you had only 150 seats. Did you have more people than seats?
Fortunately, we were able to come up with more seats. When we set up Friday night, we thought we were going to have people were going to have to stand, but fortunately we were able to talk the library into giving us some additional chairs, and everybody had a seat, which was great. We did have a full room, though.
Wow.
That is amazing.
That is wonderful.
For somebody who's been to Arkansas a lot for both work and pleasure, I was so glad to see that the reason was that the rally was taking place in the first off, but to hear that it was so successful just really puts a huge smile on my face. I'm really proud of you guys and everything that you're doing down there, or up there, I should say, from where I'm at. And just I love the free thinkers in Arkansas. They're an amazing group. They're an amazing bunch of people, and they are really taking it to the streets, so to speak. I had the pleasure of visiting the Little Rock group and meeting Lee Wood and Susan and all them before, and just had a great time with them. And ever since then, I've really been impressed with the work that they're doing in Arkansas, especially considering the uphill battle they're facing there. So kudos to you guys, really, honestly from my heart, really kudos. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It was very
here.
exciting. Without any hitches, it was great. And we also, speaking of hitches, the room that we had it in is where Christopher Hitchens spoke when he was in Little Rock, and it was a standing room only event too.
Wow. And are you guys going to do this next year?
Yes, we talked last night about that. We think we're going to do this again next year.
That's wonderful.
Well, as soon as you get a date set, let me know, and I'm going to see if I can move heaven and earth to get there this time.
That would be wonderful. We would so love to have you.
Yes.
And Susan, I told you what you need to do if you want me to be able to come. You can't do it on the last weekend in October because that's my Halloween party.
I know. I passed that along, and we're actually thinking about having it at a different time, so we'll keep you posted.
All you need to do to get Blair to show up is leave a small trail of banana liqueur right to the library.
That's funny because speaking of bananas, R.N. Raw was there. And I really wanted to have him do, sort of a reprise of the Ray Comfort debate. And I wanted to see how that banana fit in his hand, whether it was perfect or not.
Well, he doesn't just leave it in his hand, I'm afraid.
Yeah. Like a cigar.
Yeah.
Hello, Mr. President.
Hey, fuck y'all. I'm still working on Rachel's page, by the way.
You are so going to pay for that. I just have nothing to say right now.
Oh, man. So what else you know about the Reason in Iraq before we send you back to get some rest?
Well, gosh, there's just so much to say. We're still debriefing ourselves and patting ourselves on the backs because there was seriously not a single hitch all day long. It went like clockwork. And the crowd would have been more pleased if we had had more time for question and answer after each guest. We really didn't have time to do that because we had packed the schedule so tightly, and I think that's one of the things we're going to change next year. Is we're going to leave plenty of time for question and answer. We had a reception after Reason in the Rock. We took our speakers to dinner, and then we invited all the attendees to come to a reception for them at a local pub, and that was a huge hit, just because everyone got to socialize and really talk one-on-one with the people who had been there. And these were all movers and shakers in the secular movement. And it was so important to us that the people who attended be able to talk one-on-one with the people who really are the voices of our movement.
And we also gave the first annual Randall Doc Fleck Award, and if anybody's not familiar with him, he was very important in the secular movement in Arkansas, and we were able to give that award this year, the first one for someone that's active in the secular movement in Arkansas, so that was exciting too.
That is fantastic.
He really was a person, and we used this phrase in the presentation, in the language of the presentation, but he really seeded the secular movement in Arkansas because he started so many groups and was a one-man resource for everyone who wanted to start a secular group anywhere in the state. He traveled all over the state to help people get started, to help find funding, to help get the word out. He died this year after a long illness, and we're sad that we weren't able to institute this award before he died, but his family was there, and what was so gratifying when we presented the award and named the award and presented it to them, they were in tears and just joy, just so pleased that we had recognized him, and that made us feel so good to know that we had done for his family. The first recipient of the award went to someone else who was the beneficiary of some of Doc Fleck's mentoring, and he has started doing the same thing. He's opened his home for meetings. He has helped other groups get started. He has offered his expertise with technology to help get the word out, and he's just a tireless worker for the secular movement.
Skeptic Bart is what he goes by.
He's still partially in the closet for professional reasons, so we just call him Skeptic Bart.
Well, that is fantastic. Did you have any of my friends from Fayetteville come down there?
There were several people from Fayetteville. There were the people from the Fayetteville Free Thinkers group were there, and then there were just some individuals who wandered in and found us, and hopefully they're going to be hooking up with the Fayetteville group and going to more meetings and getting more active too. And of course, everybody's going to be headed to Skepticon because it's so close to Fayetteville. So
I know it, and Skepticon is kind of weird for me because I'm 6 hours east of it now, but I used to be 2 to 4 hours south of it in Fayetteville and Little Rock. So Skepticon, there's probably going to be several hundred people there that I know. So I don't know. It's awesome. I can't hug people fast enough.
Skepticon is a wonderful event, and if we could ever get our event to be on that level, we would really that would be an ideal for us. Lauren Lane and J.T. Everhart, who are two of the co-founders of Skepticon, were both at Reason in the Rock yesterday, and Lauren talked specifically about how to get a successful convention or conference going and how to get it started. And you know, from the way they started to where they are now with a huge budget and 2 full days of speakers, just page after page of names who are going to be there. It's really exciting, and we hope that we're going to get there.
We had Lauren on a couple weeks ago, and her and JT, you're right, they started something amazing. In case you didn't know, your first convention had more attendees than their first convention.
They told us that, and we were just dumbfounded. That we were so excited, and we hope that is a sign of things to come, that if we could get this many people out for our very first event, then, you know, they're into their 5th year now, and they've got well over 1,000 people attending. If 5 years from now we've got 1,000 people attending, we will feel as though we have a true success.
And one thing I was going to say is if any group is listening to this that wants to do an event, as JT told me, just do it.
Build it and they will come.
Yeah. He said do it. That's event planning 101. Just do it.
Yeah. And I hope more states start popping up to do these national or these statewide events. It would be great that if we had all 50 states once a year.
We had a couple come in from Fort Worth to Reason in the Rock, and of course none of us knew them. And they said that what they do is they go around to these events. It's their hobby to go around the region to the different secular events. And they were telling us how excited they were that so many new ones are popping up all over the place.
There were some people there from St. Louis, too. And I think some of the people that came from out of state actually may have heard about it on your podcast.
Oh,
wow.
Oh boy. That's an honor for us, I tell you. It is. Just if one person goes to an event like that and has a wonderful experience because they happen to catch us fucking around on the radio or the podcast, that makes our time well spent.
Absolutely, and that's what we're here for, is for you guys, all of you.
Because I know in that part of the United States, there of course is Skepticon. There's Reason in the Rock. There's another one in Tulsa. There's Oklahoma City. There's stuff in Austin like crazy. St. Louis had a Skeptic Camp just a few months ago. It is exploding, these conventions everywhere.
Fayetteville, Arkansas had one too earlier in the year called Logicon.
How do they know that? That's awesome. Well, did you get to go up to that in Fayetteville?
Yes, I did. Jason Bathan is the leader of the Humanists in Northwest Arkansas. He was actually at our event yesterday, too. But, yes, so we weren't the first in Arkansas. We were the first in Little Rock, though.
That's all right. I think I got to meet him. That's the new group that's come up because they're more up by Bentonville and Rogers.
Right.
Yeah.
Where Fayetteville Freethinkers, Doug and Daryl, they've been doing their thing for 10, 15 years.
Right. And they've actually were mentors of ours when we very first started our group. We turned to them for a lot of advice.
Well, I tell you, I was stunned when I was in Arkansas, and I suddenly had free time because I was away from my wife and kids, and I started looking on the Internet at how amazing the atheist movement had become, and this was 7-8 years ago. And I started going to the Fayetteville Freethinker in Fayetteville, Arkansas meetings, and I met Doug and Daryl, and they knew the Bible freaking inside and out, backwards and forwards, and they kind of mentored me in a way, too, just to show me what you can do. And you just can walk up to a random fundy on the street that has one of these giant signs that are walking around Fayetteville all the time, or if they approach you at some fair or carnival, and they dare to try to quote the Bible to you, you just eviscerate them. It's the most glorious fun.
Yeah, I think Pastor Jed or Brother Jed, what's he called, has been at Fayetteville, and they've taken him on a time or two.
Yeah, they've gone to different things, and like my rule the wife helped me make it's become more of a guideline. I'm not supposed to start it. We went to a corn festival here in Illinois, and they had this little white trailer off to the side, and it says, 3 questions you need to answer to see if you're going to go to heaven. And I told my wife, I said, I'm going to go over there and talk to those people. She's like, no, you are not. You're not supposed to start it. And you going over there starting it. I'm like, fine, grumble, grumble, grumble. So we're in line to get our free corn because everyone gets a couple of ears of free corn. And some guy's walking through the line while we're stuck there waiting and hands me a pamphlet and says, how is your relationship with Jesus? And I look over at my wife, and she goes, he's all yours, baby. He came to you, and him and I spent the next 15 minutes because they're so shocked that someone argues back about their little fantasy life that they don't know what to do. They don't understand that they should just run away. And so we're arguing, and I'm just pulling up one thing after another. And, it's one of those moments where my wife might say, all the people around you can hear you. You're being kind of loud. And I go, I'm loud on purpose. Because I want 20 people around me to hear that this is all bullshit. This guy just walked up through a line of 1,000 freaking people, and he's handing out a pamphlet of lies, and no one says anything. Well, I'm saying something, and I want everyone to hear it. And this guy needs to walk away in shame for what he's doing. I'm sorry, I'm ranting.
No. So many people say shit that loud, obnoxious guy, when we're having those types of conversations. But I'm like you. I'm loud on purpose because I want, if I'm in a restaurant, I want people in the adjacent tables to hear me talking about logic and science and critical thinking and why religion is bullshit. And we've been at restaurants or we've been at shows or we've been standing in lines before where people have got up and left because of the conversation we're having. And you know what? That's a problem with your faith, not with my voice.
Yeah, I consider that a win because if nothing else, for the first time in their life, those people that got up and left have to at least acknowledge that they had to run away from what was being heard. And they're not used to that, at least not in Arkansas. They can say whatever crazy they want, and there's no one there. There's no repercussions. Matter of fact, saying the more crazy shit you say, the more money seems to come rolling in. And we've got to break that cycle where someone says something stupid. One of these Republican guys gets up on a stage and says something stupid. They should just be booed off the freaking stage, and they'll stop saying it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, the accommodation as an approach just is not going to work. The way I liken it to, modern racists and bigots. If somebody comes up to you and admits to you that they are racist, do you try to accommodate them and befriend them and find common places? No. You ridicule them. You laugh at them. You mock them. You make them feel fucking stupid for having backwoods, outdated, archaic beliefs. And why should we treat any other archaic belief differently than we treat racism?
And I tell people every time I come out and say something publicly about atheism and someone says you're being too loud, I said, we tried quiet for 2,000 years.
Yep.
That shit didn't work.
Quiet doesn't work.
It doesn't work. History is the loudmouth vocal activist who gets off their ass and does something that pisses everybody off. The peacekeepers riding on the coattails of the activists. That's the way it's always been in every historical aspect of rights. If you look at the civil rights movement, the women's suffrage, gay rights, there were a lot of gay people given the we're queer people shit for being loud and obnoxious. But you know what? Those people rode on their coattails.
They did. Well, before we get too carried away, I want to thank Susan. Is it Ann or Annie? Ann?
Ann, yes.
Ann and Susan, thank you so much for everything you've done, and thank you for coming on our show and sharing it with us. And with a little luck, one or all of us can come next year. But, we're almost out of time for our show. But thank you for calling in and giving us the update.
We are very happy.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, thanks.
All right. Yeah. Bye, ladies.
Bye. Anything we can do, ever, just let us know.
Thank you so much.
And Blair, before it gets too late, I know we've got just a few minutes left here. Make sure that when I see you at Thanksgiving, I show you my big atheist tattoo, because I'm very proud of that. I would never have done that for religion, but for atheism, I'm a go. So
I will definitely ask you to show me your tattoo.
It's on her ass, by the way.
I was worried where that sentence was going when we started that.
Oh, wait. Oh, you meant an actual tattoo. I thought you were using code words. My bad.
Yeah. It's a tattoo on a cigar, by the way.
But yeah, it's on my ass.
I will make sure I bring a turkey baster.
Holy shit. If only the show ended 2 minutes ago.
Oh, you guys kill me.
Just make sure you maintain your blue stained dress. You might need it in a court of law someday.
No cigars involved. It's just
no cigars were harmed or hurt during the filming of this podcast.
Yes, exactly. Although that tattoo is some of my artwork, but
yeah, it is. Jimmy designed it, and I actually have my GV on there from my blog post, Godless Vagina. So, and then it's an A, and I have Betty Boop down below. So, it's a pretty interesting tattoo.
I'm not convinced. I demand evidence that your vagina is actually godless.
That's a black box you don't want to go into.
Oh, wow.
Or maybe I'm wrong.
Damn.
All right, guys, we have 2 minutes left. Anything else?
I made this show explicit because I was expecting something out of Blair, but I didn't get it. You know.
And
no, I'm getting it now.
Who was the first one to bring up the word vagina?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
I was thinking when we were talking about the weather at Venus, as you get on Venus and it begins to squash you, there's a benefit there. It makes your penis look bigger.
Wow.
You mean this coming from a guy who hasn't seen his since Y2K? That's pretty good.
I don't have to see it in order to use it.
It doesn't mean you're using it either, though.
Jimmy knows that.
Oh, you guys. All right, well, that about wraps up the show. Jimmy, if you want to get it ready to end, thank you, Blair, for coming on and entertaining us as usual. It's always great having you on. And thanks to DJ for coming on the show today. It was wonderful having him as well. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And we'll see you back next week, and we'll have some more guests and some more laughs, and we might have to continue to make the show MA. So have a great week, everyone. We'll talk to you then.
Bye.
Bye.